Today I'm joined with Andrew Carnegie and John Paul Getty. And today's topic of discussion is ethics and wealth creation. Andrew, how did you obtain all your wealth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I came from humble beginnings. I was an immigrant to this country. That's where I first got my first job at Pennsylvania Railroad Western Division. From there, I was able to accumulate enough wealth to invest in multiple companies. My first company was actually a sleeping car company, which returned a profit of $5,000 annually. That was actually 3 times more than my initial salary at my full-time job. So that really allowed me to be able to invest in the oil company, which is where most of my wealth started to accrue. And then from there, I invented the Keystone Bridge Company, which also allowed me to build my portfolio out a little more. From there, I bought my first steel company, bought out the top competitor in the industry, forming Carnegie Steel. I worked in that industry for 10 years, sold it to JP Morgan after those 10 years for $480 million. So my net worth was $380 million all said and done, which translates to over $309 billion in today's current market.
Wow, okay. So a very diverse background, Andrew. John, how about you? How did you obtain your wealth?
So I was born into a pretty wealthy family. My dad was an insurance lawyer, and through that he used his wealth to buy land, and in that land there was a lot of crude oil wells that we made. And through that, we just kept going through the oil industry, and I was able to start my own company, which was called Getty Oil.
Wow. Okay.
And after that, I was able to attain $6 billion in net worth, and that's equivalent to $21 billion in today's market.
Okay. Andrew, how much money have you given to charity?
Yeah, so of my $380 million in net worth, I pledged to give away 90% of that. I set up the Carnegie Corporation to aid colleges and schools, and I also established the Carnegie Institution, and that is set up to just fund scientific research. I also set up a pension fund for teachers, and I've donated millions of dollars through that just because education is a big belief of mine, and I feel like being able to contribute to the next generation of Americans is something I'm really passionate about, and that's definitely something I want to spend my money on.
Wow, 90%, that's a large number.
Yeah.
John, how much money have you donated to charity?
I'm a pretty frugal person. I don't like spending my money unless I need to. There's been stories about me where I wash my clothes by hands, and that's true. I don't like spending any money, any extra money, but I did give away $1.2 billion into a charitable trust, and that charitable trust was towards my museum, and that's probably the only charitable act I've ever done.
What's the name of your museum?
It's called the Getty, and it's currently located in Los Angeles, California.
Okay. Andrew, what do you spend all your wealth on?
Yeah, so I spend most of my $309 billion net worth on mostly philanthropy, over 90% of that I would say. However, I did invest a lot of money earlier on in my career on my steel plants. I did own Carnegie Steel. That took up a lot of time. I invested in a lot of different oil companies. So that was some of where my money was going as well. But over 90% was really philanthropy. I really focused on different libraries across the country. I established over 3,000 libraries. I funded different colleges. So just anything I could do to really help people out, I thought was more valuable to me than self-nourishment. So that's really what I chose to focus most of my net worth on.
Wow, very interesting. John, how about you? How did you spend all your wealth?
I had this type of philosophy where I would spend every single cent that I owned into my own business, and other than that, I'd be spending it on art collection. That used to be one of my biggest hobbies.
How did you get into art?
So when I was younger, I would used to collect a lot of different types of marbles, a lot of different types of stamps, and it was just basically like a hobby of collecting. And when my net worth grew, I saw that a lot of my peers were spending their money on art collection, and I thought it was a great thing to get into.
Andrew, do you think you have a positive or negative effect on our society?
Yeah, I think I have a very positive impact on our society, actually. I actually created Carnegie Steel. It was my own company that helped industrialize America. That opened up, obviously, tons of jobs for people that desperately needed the salaries. Aside from that, I contributed 90% of my net worth, which again was $309 billion. That all went to education. It went to different institutes that funded research and development. So overall, if you take into account those two things, that's right there a tremendously positive impact on our society.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, Andrew. I think it gets to a point where the super rich just have too much money and it's impossible to spend it on yourself. So I think you've done a great job opening up schools, libraries, churches, etc., and really helping our society and the future of our society.
Thank you.
John, how about you? Do you think you have a positive or negative impact on our society?
Well, people usually view me as a bad person. They think I have a very negative impact on society, and that's because of a situation that happened. And in that situation, someone kidnapped my grandson, and they asked for $17 million. And what I'm thinking is that if I give any money out to criminals, they're gonna keep doing bad things, right? And any penny I spent on ransoms, kidnappings, that increases chances of getting my other grandsons kidnapped, and I do not want to take that chance. Now, I think I personally have a very positive impact on society, and that's because I was a pioneer in the oil industry and I was a pioneer in the art industry. And I feel like I created a lot of jobs and I created a basis of a great future for oil industry and for art.
That's interesting that you would spend billions on oil and art, but not millions on your own family.
To each their own.
Andrew, do you think you have too much money?
I would say I have too much money. However, I feel like I spend it in a way that benefits not only myself but society. I feel like $309 billion in today's market, you can't possibly spend that on enough things for just yourself. So I feel like giving back is something obviously that I was really passionate about. I gave 90% of my net worth, and that just shows I felt like I had too much money. Just giving back to education and world peace was something I was really passionate about. And just giving away as much money as I could. I ended up with only $30 million out of the $380 million at the time in my net worth. So that just shows you how much I thought I owed to society.
Wow. John, do you think you have too much money?
No, I don't. And the reason behind that is because there's a lot of other people that have a lot more net worth than I do. And I think I earned every single penny that I've earned. I use every single cent that I have to reinvest into my own business or myself. And I feel like if I didn't have that type of thinking, I would not be the type of person I am today.
Very interesting. Andrew, John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.